Good morning, students. This is your teacher Meenakshi Sambal. I welcome you all to the online class of English. Students, childhood is that phase of life when one is free of all responsibilities. It is that phase when we don't have to care about anything like taking care of our possessions. So we lead a carefree life. But as we grow up and enter into adulthood, we come face to face with the harsh realities of life, like losing our dear ones or losing things that we once held close to our heart. And dealing with these losses is what we learn as we grow, and that is what we are going to read about in the poem, the Ball poem, written by John Berryman. I will give you the explanation of the poem with the literary devices used in the poem by the poet. Before I tell you more, let me introduce you all to the poet. John Berryman was an American poet and scholar. He was born on 25th October 1914 in Oklahoma in the United States of America. He was educated at Clare College, Columbia University. He is best known for the Dream Songs written in 1916, which was a sequence of 385 poems. He was awarded Pulitzer Prize for Poetry in 1969. He also won National Book Award. He passed away on 7th January 1972. Now I begin with the poem. Stanza 1. What is the boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? I saw it go, merrily bouncing down the street and then merrily over. There it is in the water. No use to say, oh, there are other balls. Now merrily in this stanza means happily. Oh, there are other balls means that the loss of the ball is not important enough to worry about. Bouncing means jumping up and down. Now, here is the explanation of this stanza. The poem is about a little boy. For the first time in his young life, he is learning what it is like to experience grief at the loss of a much loved possession, that is his ball. Students, the ball is here symbolic of the sweet memories of his childhood. The boy loses his ball and watches it bouncing down the street into the water. To us, the loss of a ball is of minor consequence, but to the little boy, it was a valued possession. The poet here deters himself from saying that there are other balls because the boy wants the same ball. The ball had been with him for a long time, and it was linked to the memories of the days when he played with it. The boy's ball personifies his young days of happy innocence. Now, in this stanza, which are the literary devices used by the poet? The first one is anaphora. Now, anaphora is use of repeated words in two or more lines. Example of it is, what is the boy, what, and merely bouncing merrily over. Assonance is another literary device. It is the repeated use of vowel O in this stanza, that is boy, now, who, lost. Imagery is used in the stanza. The device of imagery is used when poet says merrily bouncing down the street. And another one is repetition. What is repeated in the stanza? Second stanza. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy as he stands rigid trembling, staring down. All his young days into the harbour where his ball went. I would not intrude on him. A dime, another ball is worthless. Now, ultimate in this stanza means final. Shaking grief means sadness which greatly affects the boy. Rigid is stiff. Trembling means shivering. Harbour is a place where ships load and unload goods. Intrude on in this stanza means to enter a situation where one is not welcome. A dime is 10 cents in US currency. Now, when the young boy loses his ball, it bounces away and lands in the harbour. The boy is very much troubled at the loss of his ball and plunges into grief. He stands stiff and trembling while staring at his ball. He is upset as he looks into the gloomy water because he cannot find the ball. The boy is deeply affected by the loss of his ball because it has been with him for a long time. When the ball bounces into the water, all his memories of the childhood days flashes in front of him. This leads to the realization that those moments would not come back just like the ball. Further, the poet doesn't offer him money to buy another ball because that would be completely worthless. Now, some of the literary devices used in this stanza are repetition. The use of the word ball is repeated. Ascendanton is where there is no use of conjunction in a sentence. So, the example of it is a dime, another ball is worthless. Symbolism is a figure of speech where an object, person or situation has another meaning other than its literal meaning. The example, so here the ball symbolizes the boy's young and innocent days. Third stanza. Now, he senses first responsibility. In a world of possessions, people will take balls. Balls will be lost always, little boy. And no one buys a ball back. Money is external. Possessions here means something that is owned or possessed. External is superficial or extrinsic. The boy is upset when he looks into the gloomy water because he cannot find the ball. This is when he gets his first sense of responsibility. The poet suggests that from the loss of the ball, the boy is learning what it means to lose something in a world of possessions where he will lose things, will buy some more to replace the ones lost, but would never be able to buy back the thing that he had lost in this poem. The boy's ball personifies here his young days and happy innocence. The poet thus makes the boy understand about his responsibility as the loss is immaterial. Money is external as it cannot buy memories, nor can it replace the things that we love, that things that really matter to us. The literary device used in this stanza is alliteration. That is here the use of sound B at the start of two consecutive words. Buys a ball back is an example of it. The other one is repetition. The word balls is repeated in this stanza. The fourth and the last stanza of the poem. He is learning well behind his desperate eyes the epistemology of loss, how to stand up, knowing what every man must one day know, and most know many days how to stand up. The poet suggests that from the loss of the ball, the boy is learning how to stand up in a world of possessions. The boy is learning what it means to lose something. The poet says that knowing that every man has to stand up after such losses, the boy too will learn how to stand up and leave the losses behind as he would have understood the true meaning and nature of loss. Here, desperate in the stanza means hopeless. Epistemology of loss, it means understanding the nature of loss, what it means to lose something. Epistemology is the Greek word. Episteme means knowledge. It comes from a word meaning to understand, to know. Epistemology is the study of the nature of knowledge itself. Now, the literary device used here is assonance, use of vowel sound E in the stanza. The example of it is, he is learning well behind his desperate eyes. Central idea of the poem. The poet John Berryman in the Ball poem describes the grief of a boy over the loss of his ball. With that loss, he senses his first responsibility in a materialistic world where those whom you love and your worldly possessions will not be with you forever. The poem shows how all through your life you will be forced to do things that you don't want to do, and you will lose or you have to give up the things that you love. But despite this, you have to learn to stand up, to be strong, and get on with your life no matter how much it hurts inside. That is only way you will survive. It thus teaches us to learn to accept and let go and not cling on to something that we can never have. So students, with this, we come to the end of this lesson. I hope you enjoyed learning it as much as I enjoyed teaching it to you.